do is, I already cut mine open. What you're going to do is you're going to take the sharp pair of the scissors. Someone can borrow these scissors. You'll take the sharp pair of the scissors and you'll just make a cut into the abdominal muscle wall, and then you'll just poke it in there and then pull it out and use the blunt end so you don't damage any of the guts, and you're just going to cut until, be careful once you get up, right, this is the liver here. Careful when you get up into the liver, because inside here, this muscle right here that I've saved, kept connected, this is your diaphragm. We want to try and keep the diaphragm completely intact. And so you're going, basically you're going to cut up to it, but not cut through it, and then start cutting yourself a window around it. And then you'll cut all the way down. Eventually you'll see this is the bladder down here. So I might end up cutting further, but you'll cut down and you'll just cut yourself a window. And you'll open him up and there'll be guts. And this guy here will be over the top of it, okay? So what we've got here, this is your coelom. Remember last quarter we had the big coelomic space, right? Coelomic space is in here, okay? Hey, you're in.
I got it.
Yay. Okay, this, lining the abdominal muscles right here, this is your visceral peritoneum. Remember visceral peritoneum? Because remember, visceral peritoneum touches the viscera, it touches the guts. So, plastered right up against it, underneath it, is the parietal peritoneum. It's stuck right up underneath it. They're plastered together. I won't ever pin parietal peritoneum because I can't do it. But I could pin this and say, what's that? And say visceral peritoneum. Okay? So if it touches the guts, it's visceral peritoneum. Okay? So then, what we've also got here, right, this is our liver, right? And our diaphragm is this muscle right here. Connecting the diaphragm to the liver is this little ligament right here. This is your falsiform ligament. Connects the liver right to the diaphragm, the falsiform ligament. And the falsiform ligament comes from ventral mesentery. Did you learn ventral mesentery when you learned embryology last quarter? I think so. So, what's this called here? Falsiform ligament. What's it come from? The ventral mesentery. Okay. Falsiform ligament, ventral mesentery. And you see this big, fatty, ugly thing right here? You know when guys get a big beer gut? You know, and they're like, but hey, it's rock solid, right? That's because men gain fat right here in this fatty layer. This is your greater omentum. I just ripped through it. The greater omentum. And the reason it's rock solid is because it's underneath the abdominal muscles. Right? Women, we get fat right on the outside of our abdominal muscles because we can't get any in here because we need to be able to expand to have kids. Right? But guys, they can get fat right in here and it's underneath their abdominal muscles, so it feels rock solid, but that's because you're hitting their muscle. And underneath, it's a big fat greater omentum. Okay. The greater omentum comes from your dorsal mesentery. Okay. So what's this one? What's it come from?
Ventral mesentery.
What's this called?
Greater omentum.
And what's it from?
Dorsal mesentery.
Cool. Okay, right here, the greater omentum is connected to your stomach. Okay, this is the stomach of the cat right here, underneath the liver, kind of hiding. Your stomach is in this weird, like bean shape. And so it's got what we call, on the outside it's got the greater curve of the stomach, on the inside it's got the lesser curve. The greater omentum is on the greater curve of the stomach. And it's greater because it's longer, because it's on the outside of the curve. Okay? On the lesser curve, you've got a little tiny bit of omentum that's called the lesser omentum, and it's on the lesser curve of the stomach. It's just this small little bit of goop right here. And like the falciform ligament, the lesser omentum is also from ventral mesentery. All right. Let's see. I think we'll do. So we've got we've got visceral peritoneum here, right? Around this is our pleural space, right? All of this. Lining it is the it's the visceral pleura. You got it. The visceral pleura. The visceral pleura is homologous to the visceral peritoneum. They're homologous structures. They're the same thing, but they're in a different space in the body, right? And so the visceral pleura just visceral pleura. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Tuesdays I have a long day of lecture. Like I have class at 8, and then I come until 6, and then I come and teach you. So forgive me about that. In here we've got our lungs, right? And then in here, in its own sac, called the pericardium, is the heart. The heart is lined in pericardium, which is also homologous to the visceral pleura, which is homologous to the visceral peritoneum. They're all homologous. In here, okay, so you've got lungs on either side, right? In the middle, between the lungs, is this space called the mediastinum, or the mediastinum. I don't know which one Sumita calls it. And in the mediastinum lies your heart. So your heart lies within the mediastinum. And to get the respiratory open, don't cut through the sternum. Feel your cat and find the sternum and cut to the side of it, and then you'll cut through the ribs, and then you have to break them to get it open. But you get it open.
You're breaking the ribs.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I broke the ribs. Ooh, sorry. Okay. Mine had a weird fat deposit, which I'll get off later. And I couldn't, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut all the way up through, and then you're supposed to cut the mandible in half, but I couldn't do it because I'm not strong enough, and it was very sad. Because you're supposed to get the tongue and this right here, what's this called? The trachea, right? You're supposed to get this all detached, but I couldn't do it. So I'll pull out somebody else's cat later, and we'll look at some more stuff that's more detailed on here. But this is your trachea, and it's got these cartilage rings in it. Why do you think it has cartilage rings? To keep it open, right? Because if it closes down, we can't breathe, and we're dead. All right. Up here, which I got a model of, can you just grab that and sit it right there? I want to slide it. Okay. Right here, up here, this is our, no, it's not your pharynx. It's your, it's your thyroid cartilage, right? This guy right here, this is your thyroid cartilage. You can see it on the cat. I mean, you can mostly see it on the cat. I'll have to do some more cleaning, but you can feel it. The thyroid cartilage. That's what's your Adam's apple. That's thyroid cartilage. And then right below it, right here, is another ring of cartilage called the cricoid cartilage. And you can't really see it on the cat, but you can feel it. You can grab it and feel it. So here's thyroid cartilage. Right below it is cricoid cartilage. Okay. Then we've got, you've got your pharynx. And if you think, it's actually spelled with a PH, but it sounds like it starts with an F, right? Pharynx. So think it's got food and air. Pharynx. Food and air. So we've got two of them. We've got the oropharynx, oropharynx, where it's your mouth. And then you've got the nasopharynx, which is your nose. And then down inside, if I show you the other one, you'll see down inside they connect together, and it's just the common pharynx, whatever it is. have to show you. I'll have to show you epiglottis in someone else's cat that's actually cut open. And I'll have to show you salivary glands too. But actually, oh no, he's over there. I'll show you later. Okay, what's heterodont? What's not heterodont? You know, teeth, right? And it's hetero because we've got different kinds of teeth, right? We don't have just one single kind of teeth. We've got our incisors, we've got canines, we've got molars. So heterodont, different teeth. What's the function of our salivary glands? I'll show you the salivary glands on the model later. What's the function of salivary glands?
To produce saliva and begin digestion.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's primary chemical digestion. They begin digestion, right? Does anyone know what in saliva begins digestion? It's an enzyme. Amylase, right? So saliva functions to begin digestion, and it does so with salivary amylase, okay? And then underneath of the trachea, we've got a muscly tube right here. This is your esophagus, right? Saliva also functions as a lubricant to help food slide down your esophagus. And your esophagus is muscular, so you've got flexion of the muscles in your esophagus that help press food down inside. Talk about this later. I'll show you one more. Okay, so digestive system. Okay, our digestive system is broken up into 3 main parts, which, well, you've got foregut, midgut, and hindgut. And they each have a blood supply, blood drainage, nervous supply. And so that helps you organize it. So if we get to later, if we move on and we say, what's the arterial, the blood supply of the stomach? If you know that stomach is foregut and you know what supplies the foregut, then you know what supplies the stomach. So you'll want to learn the categories, and I've got awesome, stupid mnemonics to help you remember. But if we start in the foregut with the esophagus. So we've got the esophagus right underneath the trachea. And then it goes right down into the stomach. Here's our big long stomach with the, what's this called? What's it come from? Dorsal mesentery, good. So here's the stomach. And then right here, this guy, he's got like food or something. He's fatty inside his intestines. Coming off of the stomach is your small intestine. So if we peel back the greater omentum, you can see the stomach coming off into the small intestines.
Is the stomach still part of the foregut?
Stomach is foregut, yeah. And then the beginning part of the small intestine is all the skinny bit, right? When you get into the fatter bits down in here, this is large intestine. What?
Hindgut.
Yeah, hindgut, yeah. Okay. But the first part of the small intestine is called the duodenum, or the duodenum. People call it weird names. The duodenum. Okay. And your duodenum is the first part of the duodenum is foregut, but I think we just jumped into trap. Yeah, we just call duodenum all foregut. That's what we do. Then your foregut also has some accessory organs associated with it. You've got the liver, which is the big guy here. What's the function of the liver? What? Produces bile, yeah. It stores it in the gallbladder. And what else does it do? It filters, right? It filters our blood. Okay. That's why people who drink a lot of alcohol get liver cancer, because it's working hard to filter all that alcohol out. Self-filter. Okay. So we've got liver. And then we've got gall bladder, which in some of your cats will be green. Remember dissecting frogs in high school? It's like this little green pea in there. We've got the Gall Bladder right inside the liver, right there. And then if we lift up the greater omentum, there's this organ right here that looks kind of like carne asada. It looks like carne asada. This is your pancreas. Isn't it? Isn't that gross? It's not. Carne asada is not pancreas. It really is meat, okay? Pancreas is pancreas. Carne asada is not. It just looks like carne asada. So if I say, what's the carne asada organ? You can say, pancreas. No, it's not pancreas. So that's your foregut. Okay. What we don't have on your sheet is your spleen, this big guy that, in some looks more like a cat. Mine, it's cracked. This is your spleen, and it goes right over the greater omentum. It's kind of attached to it. As well. I don't know what it's part of. I think it's foregut, but I wouldn't worry about it. So after the small intestine becomes, after it's duodenum, right? It has two more divisions in it, which I'll never ask you which division am I pinned in, because it doesn't have a distinct, clear-cut division between them. But you've got the jejunum or the jejunum, whatever you want, jejunum, whatever you want to call it, and you've got the ileum. So that's small. It's all small intestine. This guy's organs are weird. It's all twisted. I need to find it. Ah, there it is. Then you've got right at, it's hard to find in this cat because he's twisted funny, but here there's a space where it goes from being really small to being a lot bigger, right? You see there? Yeah, your cecum is right here, yeah. In humans, it's the connection between the small intestine and the large intestine. The little bulb part of the large intestine that hangs off is your cecum. Ooh. And in humans, right, what do humans have right here hanging off the end? That we have to get removed all the time? Yeah. An appendix. Cats don't have an appendix, but humans do. So, right. So your large intestine, if you look at it, it kind of, if you get the small intestine out of the way, it kind of is like a rainbow. It goes up and across and down. Okay? The part that goes up is your ascending, ascending is a colon? Yeah, ascending colon. Okay. The part that goes across is your transverse colon. Remember, so we did transverse sections. You've got the transverse colon. And then the section going down is the descending colon. Okay. The ascending colon and transverse colon are part of the midgut. And then that's where it stops. After that, you get into hindgut. You get descending colon. And then, I don't know if I cut far enough. And her uterus is in the way. Down further, I might have to cut further. It gets like a squiggly curve in it as it goes down and become the rectum. The squiggly curve is called the sigmoid colon. And then you've got, I'll have to cut further. Then you've got rectum, and then you have anus. So that's all your hindgut.
What's the squiggly curve called?
It's called the sigmoid curve. Sigmoid. Oh yeah, you guys all know about the Devlin sheets, right? You have to start printing those out again.
Where do we get them?
They're on kdevlin.com, the website. It's always posted up there. Okay. And it looks like it's a little stack of like books that say different things. You'll click anatomy and physiology, and you'll select 224, and then you can find them. They're labeled like week 1, week 2, 75. Yeah. Okay. I didn't really cut this out very well. I'm sorry. Okay. Back here, these are your kidneys, right? they're called, the kidneys are called retroperitoneal because they are actually outside of the peritoneum. So right here, coating the kidney is your visceral peritoneum, which is so weird.
Is it in between?
What?
Is it in between the visceral peritoneum?
I think so. No, I know it's for sure it's on the other side of the visceral peritoneum. I'm not sure. I don't remember if it's between the two, but it's retroperitoneal. So here's kidney. Don't try and find the adrenal glands because they're just a weird mesh of stuff on the top that you won't be able to find. So
What did you say was the visceral?
this right here, coating the kidney. And if I go back here, see how the kidney is inside of this layer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the parietal is.
The parietal is
just
plastered.
against the abdominal.
Yeah, the parietal is normally plastered. It's plastered against the visceral peritoneum. I don't remember if the kidneys are between the two layers.
Okay.
I know it's underneath the visceral peritoneum, but I don't know the other way. And I don't want to teach you one way or the other. Coming down from your kidney is a long tube that I didn't finish getting out. This long tube, it's going underneath one of my veins here. This long tube leads down to the bladder, okay? And it's called your ureter. She has a lot of fat. So your ureter leads down into the bladder, which is this little sac. This is all fat. The bladder. So what's this tube? Ureter. What's this? Bladder. Okay. What color is urine? Yellow or gold? What do you say if you find gold?
Eureka.
Eureka, right? So, urethra. The urethra leads urine from the bladder out of the body. So urethra, eureka, it's gold. So, because you will get them confused. The ureter goes from the kidney to the bladder. The urethra down here takes urine out of the body. Remember, urine is gold. I happen to have a girl cat. Maybe somebody will have a boy cat, though we'll get to reproduction later. But on the female cat, these two tubes, they're right behind the bladder. They're between the bladder and your rectum. Two little tubes. This is the uterine horn. This is your uterus. See these? It comes off on two. It's like a V. It comes off. That's because cats have a V, so they can have kitties fall through the tube, so they can have extras. Because they have a lot of them. This is your uterine horn. This is the uterus. The rest of it's up. I didn't get that. Okay. I think that's good for now. I think I'm going to let you cut your cats open. If you're able to get this, if you're able to break this and pull it open and keep the tongue connected to the trachea and all of that jazz, if you're able to do that, that would be cool, because then I won't have to pull out another cat. All of the cats, well, my cats from last quarter are in the bucket back there. Before you even open up the cat, check for mold, because if there's mold, we don't want to open up the bags because the spores will get out and infect everyone else's cats. Make sure you spray your tray down with the tray spray before you, think about that one, before you pull your cat out. So, I think you can have at it.